Hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and oh man, I am so stoked to be in your earbuds today because this is actually one of the first episodes that I'm recording in a month or two. I don't know. If you've been listening to the Feel Good Social podcast at all recently, you've probably heard me talking about how I have been really trying to prep Feel Good Socials content for the summertime, right? We actually this spring sold our house. Then we were dog sitting for Brett's parents for a month or two. And then they came home. We've been living with them and fixing up our van, which then broke down. And that's a long story, but I'll share it later. But anyway, I was really trying to prep Feel Good Socials content ahead into the summer so that I would have time to do all these things and for our van adventure road trip and stuff, which kind of happened, but not really. I'll share that story in a little bit. But anyway, I'm so excited to be back behind the microphone, and I'm so grateful to you for tuning in, my feel good friend. I absolutely love showing up for you. It just makes me so happy to be in your earbuds every week, and I'm super stoked on today's topic. We are breaking down Instagram ROI. What are the investments that you are making into Instagram every week? And how does that balance with the returns that you are seeing from Instagram every week? We're going to be talking about the different types of goals and results that you should expect from Instagram. And we are going to be talking about adjusting your expectations depending on your goals and results that you want to see. Plus, I hope helping you to feel more confident in the way that you're showing up online every week. Feel more confident in the purpose behind the posts that you are putting out there into the universe, and giving yourself a break and relieving the pressure of trying to follow the trends or go viral, or not whenever your posts don't perform quite as well as you want them to, quote unquote, right? No, I want you to feel confident in your Instagram strategy and know that the posts that you're putting out there have a purpose, whether they get 100,000 views or not, which by the way is a total exaggeration. If your videos get 100,000 views, good on ya, my friend, but mine have never done that. So I just had to put that out there, right? But anyway, I hope that this episode is super helpful, enlightening, and helps you to gain clarity and confidence when it comes to showing up on Instagram online. This is the only episode I've ever labeled must listen. Because I think it's so important. And this topic has been coming up again and again and again lately, whether it's in the Feel Good Social Club or in the DMs on Instagram or anything like that. So I can't wait to chat about it. And if you do enjoy this episode, I would absolutely love for you to share it with a biz buddy who could also use to listen to it. Okay. Just send the link to them, tell them to give it a listen, tell them that it will help them feel more confident, clarified, and encouraged when it comes to showing up on Instagram for their brand and all that jazz. And also, if you feel up to it, share this episode to your Instagram stories. Just screenshot this episode or whatever you do, share it to your Instagram stories, and then make sure that you tag me. I'm at Feel Good Social, because if you tag me, I can see it, and then I will totally reshare it and spread the love right back to you, my friend. Okay, without further ado, let's dive right into this awesome episode where we are breaking down Instagram ROI. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Do you know what your brand vibe is on Instagram? I have a new fun quiz that's just for you, my friend. I, of all people, know how hard it is to figure out how the heck you're supposed to translate your brand to the gram. And with this quick 7-question quiz, we will help you hone in on your brand's personality, voice, and visuals so that you can show up consistently and create content that looks beautiful and feels on brand for you. This quiz is so awesome. It's been a long time coming, and I know that you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Plus, the results will help you show up in the best way for you. If you'd like to check out our new brand vibe quiz, just head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz. Pretty easy. Head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz to find out what your brand's vibe is on social media and start showing up there for your brand. Okay, my friend. So before we dive into the Instagram ROI, I just got to give you a quick life update on what's happening over here behind the mic at Feel Good Social, just because I feel like I owe that to you, especially if you've been a long time listener and you're following along with our journey and stuff. So long story short, Brett and I, my partner, got engaged in January of this year. And so this entire summer for me, we also actually, so we got engaged in January. We got a new puppy. We sold our house. We moved in with Brett's parents. We've been fixing up a Sprinter van because we wanted to travel and adventure around the world and country or whatever. And then, so that was all happening, right? We were fixing up the Sprinter van. I've been planning the wedding for the past 2 months. We're getting married on Halloween of this year, which is very exciting. But yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind trying to plan a wedding that quickly, right? It's been only a month and a half, 2 months of planning, and like it's happening in 2 months. It's like, okay, Kins, like we're doing this, right? And we've been fixing up the van, like I said, all that jazz. And then the van broke down. The Sprinter van had this emissions recall thing. It was this whole long, like only one start left before the van shut down forever and we wouldn't be able to move it. So I had to drive it down to Denver, and it was like beeping incessantly the entire 3-hour drive. My brain was like shot for a few days, let's be honest. But it made it down there. But long story short, it's going to be in the dealership for 8 to 10 weeks, probably, because the dealership is so backed up with this emissions recall thing, because everyone in Colorado's got to get it taken care of. And so we ended up buying a minivan. Also, at the same time, Brett's brothers-in-law's dad's house needed renovated in South Carolina. So we have gotten a minivan. We have road tripped 3 days to South Carolina. We are currently staying in this house that Brett is renovating and getting ready for sale. There are alligators in the backyard in a pond. It's been an adventurous summer. And I'm probably going to record an episode all about wedding planning and possibly a life update episode. So I'll tell you more of the stories later on. But if you've just been following along with the Feel Good Social podcast through the summer, we unfortunately didn't get to do the road trip that we wanted to do, but it was still pretty fun to come to South Carolina. And now we're experiencing alligators and humidity, and it's kind of a fun adventure still. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of loving it still. So anyway, that's where we're at. I've currently shoved a towel against the crack under the door behind me. I'm in an empty bedroom. Tark is like snoring next to me, and Brett's doing something on the other side of the house with power tools, as he always seems to be doing when I need to record a podcast episode. So we will see if I can record this episode without interruptions or weird groaning noises, but I can't promise you that those won't happen. So we'll see where it goes. Anyway, let's move on to Instagram ROI, because I'm so excited to talk about this topic. It may get a little ranty. This may be something that you want to take out notes for, but I really hope that this topic just hits home for you, helps to give you clarity and confidence when it comes to your Instagram strategy, because this is a topic that has just been hitting so close to home for me personally. And I've also had this conversation with so many Feel Good Social clubbers and just people in my DMs on Instagram lately too, right? So long story short, I felt like I needed to do this episode because whenever I hop onto Instagram these days, I honestly just feel like a lot of the world is losing sight of what they're really on social media for, especially when it comes to brands and businesses, and especially the solopreneurs, the people who are just trying to market themselves online and all that stuff. Like, I get it, right? Like, you hop on Instagram, and I don't know if you follow a lot of social media marketers or anyone like that, but it just feels like everyone is talking about following the trends or going viral or gaining more followers or getting more views or doing this new funky transition or this audio is the best for reels and all that different stuff, right? And it feels like everyone's either shouting about tips for doing that or just trying to follow the trends, but it doesn't really feel like them. And I feel like if you're anything like me, I feel like a lot of my Feel Good Social Clubbers and a lot of just my people who resonate with me, it feels kind of icky, right? It feels kind of weird. Like, I feel like I hop on there and I'm like, I don't want to be a content creator. Like, I'm not on here to become a content creator or an influencer. I'm just on here to try to market my brand. Like, I don't need the whole world to know about me. I just need my people to know about me. And I need to be able to sustain myself in my business and market my business. But I don't need to be Insta famous. I don't need to go viral. Like, a lot of us, we're just like, what? And you end up thinking, like, what's the point, right? It's it's hard and it feels frustrating because it doesn't really feel like real or valid or worth your time to show up on Instagram when you feel like you're just spending an hour creating this reel that maybe doesn't even perform as well as whatever Instagram marketer person told you it would, or maybe it does end up getting quite a few views, but you're like, these views are kind of vapid, don't really matter to my business. Like, okay, great. Like, I spent all this time like creating a reel with trending audio and all that stuff, but like, I don't even care. The results feel empty because they are, I'm not really seeing results. Like, they don't really matter. This doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't really feel true and authentic to me, all that stuff. Right. So, anyway, if you've been feeling like that at all, my friend, you're not alone. If you've been feeling just not like that necessarily, but just confused about what the heck Instagram is going for these days, or how you should show up, or what your purpose is on Instagram, or if you just like are curious about different Instagram ROIs and actually understanding your Instagram strategy, this episode is for you, okay? This episode is going to give you a big old reality check, that the one that I give myself every freaking day when it comes to why the heck am I showing up on here and what results am I actually seeing, and keeping my eye on the actual quote unquote prize, the return on investment that I want to see from Instagram, and not just getting swept up in the shiny object of following the trends and going viral and all that stuff, right? This is also going to remind ourselves that we are in control of how we market ourselves online, and we don't have to be chasing anything. We don't have to be showing up in a certain way or anything like that. Like, we get to understand why the heck we're showing up, and we get to make a decision based on the amount of investment that we are putting into Instagram. Is it worth it for us based on the return that we are seeing from Instagram, right? This is also just going to allow us to recenter ourselves around our true goals and create a strategy that will help us show up in a way that makes the most sense for us, and relieve ourselves of the expectations and the pressure that the world and us ourselves put on us and our brand, right? So anyway, I just wanted to give you like a little quick heads up about what you can expect from this episode and why it's so near and dear to my heart. Because if you've been feeling that like confused or frustrated, or just like, what the heck am I doing this for? You're not alone. And I hope that this episode can help you understand better why you should show up on Instagram, how you should show up on Instagram, and make you feel better about the choices that you're making, the investments that you're making into Instagram to see better results. Okay. So let's just start by breaking down ROI, okay? And then specifically Instagram and social media ROI, right? Because I know it can be a little confusing, especially for those people who are just starting out. They're like, there's all these acronyms. I have no idea what they mean, right? So anyway, ROI stands for return on investment. It's the investment that you put into something, that you make on something, and the return, the results that you see from that investment that you made that make it worth it, right? That basically balance out and hopefully exceed your results in return, will hopefully either balance or exceed the investment that you make in whatever the heck it is. And when it comes to Instagram, and actually most things, the investment that you make are definitely, they're threefold. They usually fall into three different categories. Okay. The most obvious investment that you can make is money, right? This is what everyone talks about. This is what everyone expects and goes to when you think about investing, is like, oh, I put money into something, but then I tripled my money. I got 3 times as much back, so it was worth it, right? So you can totally invest money into anything, but also, especially when it comes to Instagram, you can totally invest in a social media manager, a social media strategist, a VA, right? You can invest in Instagram or just social media ads, right? You can invest your money into social media and hopefully see a return that makes the money that you invest worth it, for sure. But what I like to really focus on when it comes to investment, like what does investment in your Instagram strategy look like? Like money for sure is one of those three categories, but to me, it's not the most important one. The most important ones that I like to focus on, remind myself, and measure are time and energy, right? One, because time is a non-renewable resource. Like so many people, and this is such a trap that so many entrepreneurs fall into, especially when we're first starting out. I definitely fell into this when I was first starting out in entrepreneurship. I was way more time to sacrifice my time instead of investing my money in help that would allow me to free up more time for myself, right? And so if you're doing that, or if you have done that, no shame. Like we all do that. And especially too, sometimes you got to do it for like a little bit, right? Like sometimes, especially when you're just starting out, you don't have money to invest yet in like freeing up more of your time. So you do have to put more time and energy into something in order to gain a little bit of money that you can invest to then balance out the time and energy that you spend, right? So don't feel bad if you've been like allowing yourself to invest, quote unquote, sacrifice, right? Or in real life, I guess, sacrifice your time and energy instead of investing money. Like that's no problem. But I think it's something that we need to consider and be aware of, especially because people also tend to not even realize that their time and energy is an investment that is equal and comparable to the money that you invest, right? We often don't even realize that we are investing time until we do it and we look back and we're like, holy shit, like I wish I would have just like spent $50 on hiring a VA for 2 hours instead of just wasting 2 hours grinding my teeth, like doing something that was super hard and draining for me and not able to then like spend that time with my dogs or my husband or my kids or something like that, right? Often you forget to measure your time and then the time that you're investing in your business. So definitely I want you to be aware of that, right? So you can definitely invest money, but you can also invest time. What does that look like for you? And you could also invest energy. And this is something that I want to talk about because I haven't heard a lot of other people talking about the energy that we spend, the energy that we invest in our business in general, but also like breaking that down into the different tasks that we do for our business every day. And you can even dive deeper into social media specifically, the energy that you invest in social media, and what do the different tasks require of you energy wise, right? So This is something I want you to consider when it comes to the energy that you are investing in Instagram and social media, not just thinking about Instagram in general, like, is Instagram draining me or is Instagram rejuvenating me, right? Like, that's too general and broad. I want you to think about the specific tasks that you do. So creating a post versus answering a DM. Maybe you're more of a social person, but creating a post feels super draining for you, right? So you love hopping in the DMs and having conversations, but you hate typing up a caption, right? Those two different tasks within your social media strategy require different amounts of energy from you specifically. So when it comes to your ROI and balancing out the return that you see from something with the investment that you're making energy wise, probably if you're a more social person and answering DMs doesn't drain you as much as creating posts, then maybe you want to spend more time and energy reaching out to people in the direct messages on Instagram. And that will probably give you better results as far as like balancing it out, making sales, all that different stuff, because you're not spending quite as much energy, draining energy, as if you were like typing up long ass captions that no one's probably going to read anyway. Right? Or the opposite could be true. Maybe you love writing, you know what I mean? And maybe you really hate talking to people in the DMs. And I don't think that you should do all one or all of the other. Like, I think that it's the social media strategies that are the best are really a great mix of everything. Really, what it is understanding your energy levels, your investment levels, and then your goals, and understanding what is my best investment for what my goals are right now that's going to give me the best results that I want to see right now, right? And they can be fluid and they can change. Anyway, oh man, I hope I'm not getting too deep divey here with you, my friend. But if you have any questions about any of this stuff at all, please reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Feel Good Social. I could geek out about this all day. And usually when I geek out about things is when I kind of start getting a little off track and tangenty with stuff, right? But anyway, maybe the opposite is true for you. And like, it's very energizing for you to write a caption, but it's not as energizing for you to be in the DMs. So maybe like your go-to default strategy is more so typing up very awesome captions in different ways. We'll chat about what different types of posts perform better and are more worth your time and energy and quote unquote money, later. But, maybe like a more text heavy creator focus for you is your default strategy versus going in the DMs and chatting with people. If that is more creative and rejuvenating for you, and answering DMs is more draining for you, right? So anyway, those are the three types of investments that people really need to consider when it comes to anything, but especially Instagram too, right? What money are you willing to spend? What time are you willing to spend? And what energy are you willing to spend? And I really want to encourage you to think about all these different things, balance them with the returns and the results that we're going to talk about in a second, right? Like, what is worth to make things worth it, right? But the last thing I want to say about the investments that you make when it comes to Instagram, time, energy, or money, is I always want you to remember the negative. Like, what am I giving up because I am giving in this other area, right? Because I am giving my time and energy to Instagram, am I giving up time with my dogs or energy that I can spend chatting with my partner or something like that, right? Is this energy that I'm giving, is this time that I'm giving, is this money that I'm giving taking away from another area of my life, right? Because that's another thing that we need to add to our equation when we are deciding on our strategies, on what is worth it for us. What is the return on the investment that we're making that is going to make this entire strategy make sense for my brand, my business, but also for me personally, right? So just remember to think about that, money, energy, time. Those are the three investments that we generally make. We're going to talk about the returns that you can see from Instagram and what can be worth it for you in just a second, but also when you are looking to spend money, energy, time, is that taking away from something that you're not willing to give up? And how can we make this equation balance better so that it works for you? Okay, so we're getting a little bit like, woo, like lots of swirling things happening, but I hope that you're following along. And again, if you have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram at feelgoodsocial. Real quick, have I invited you to join the Feel Good Social Club yet? Oh man, my friend, I would love for you to check out our new monthly membership for down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are ready to create content with ease, actually show up and strategically market your business online every month, and also make friends with rad down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are just like you, who get it, who are in the posting trenches with you, and who are ever ready to give you a friendly air high five or kick in the accountability booty whenever you need it. The Feel Good Social Club is where it is at. Check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. In the club, we have a content library full of Canva templates and tutorials and resources to help you make content creation as easy as possible. We also have monthly content planning workshops where we all come together and talk about the upcoming month's strategy for our content. And we also have community forums where you can get together, ask questions of other club members, brainstorm ideas, ask for feedback. So definitely check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Our Feel Good members are seriously some of the most amazing people that I have ever met. And I would love for you to join us, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Check it out. Join today. We would love to see you in there, my friend. All right, let's dive back into today's episode. Okay, so those are the three types of investments you can make. What are your returns on those investments of time, energy, and money that you could potentially see from Instagram to make it worth it for you? Okay. So these can look like a lot of different things, and there's a lot of different things to consider. And this is where I'm probably going to get up on my ranty high horse and go off a little bit about all of the social media marketing experts shouting about trends and stuff on Instagram, right? But long story short, when it comes to your returns, these are allowed to change. Your business is allowed to go through different seasons. There's a lot of different slices to this pie, and I truly believe that they all work together and come together to create one solid Instagram strategy, right? So you don't just need to focus on one thing or like you're allowed to focus on one thing one week, one thing the next week, one thing next week, or whatever it looks like for you. But it's important to just understand, like, what are my goals right now? What makes sense for my business? What does the big picture look like? What are all the different slices of the pie, and how can they work together so I can make an informed decision about the type of post that I'm creating and the strategy that I'm implementing for my brand? Okay. So think about your goals. Like currently, think about your goals in 3 months. Think about your goals in 6 months. What are your goals for your business, and what returns on investment are you looking for that are going to help you reach the goals that you want to make happen? Right? What do you want to get out of the posts that you are posting? Right? And this can look different for like each one of your posts every week. Like it doesn't just have to be one, there's no completely like step-by-step process to this. It's just important for you to realize what these things look like. So the different types of returns that you could see from Instagram posts, right? The different types of results that you could get out of your posts that you're posting. The two that everyone talk about online are visibility and growth. So like I said, I don't know if you follow a bunch of social media marketers online or not, but literally I get so eye rolly whenever I hop onto Instagram these days, because I just feel like every social media marketer is shouting about this trending audio and gaining more views and using this snappy transition, right? And this is how you go viral. Like everyone has tips and posts for how to go viral, how to gain followers, how to get more views and all that different stuff. And it's okay. It's for sure okay. But they are only focusing on the results of visibility and growth, which is only two slices of a very big results pie and a very big return on investments pie that we should be focusing on for our full picture strategy, right? So getting more views and all that stuff, that falls under visibility, which is boosting your brand awareness online. It's making more people aware that your brand exists and that you eventually have something to sell, so that they might eventually want to buy from you. Also, growing your followers, it kind of goes hand in hand with that. It's like, okay, great. Like, yeah, we definitely want to grow our community. We want more and more people to see our brand. We want more and more people to be interested in our brand and all that different stuff. But if you grow your followers, if you're just growing your account, but you're not building trust, building expertise, all these other things I'm about to tell you about, then those people are probably never going to actually buy from you, which is the ultimate result that you might like to see, right? So, visibility and growth are great returns on your investment. And especially when you focus on those strategically, when you focus on those partially, and like some of your posts are focused on visibility, some of your posts are focused on follower growth and all that stuff. But it's not the end all be all. And like, if you only focus on growth and visibility, then that's when you fall into the content creation hamster wheel or like the content creators hamster wheel, the going viral hamster wheel, the just gaining influence hamster wheel instead of actually, and that's when you start to feel frustrated because you're like, why am I actually doing this? This has nothing to do with my business. Like, I don't care if I get this many views. I don't care if it's not like producing something, right? So we need to make sure that, yes, we're showing up and boosting our visibility, showing up and with the goal of boosting our follower growth, all that stuff. But we also want to be pairing those with posts that are going to nurture your followers, to establish your expertise, to provide social proof, to actually sell to your ideal customers, which are other returns on investments and goals that you could put for your post, right? So the ones that everyone are talking about, visibility and growth, like I said, but the other more obvious goals that you might hear about are to make sales on Instagram, right? That's definitely a goal for a lot of us, is like to make more sales online. But most of us know that we can't just show up on Instagram and be like, buy from me, buy my cool thing, and like have people actually buy it, right? Like, it doesn't work like that. You'll come across as like kind of pushy and people will be like, what? Like, people don't want to just be sold to, right? So that is one return on investment. That is one goal that your post could have, but it's not, again, it's just one slice of the pie. It's not like all you should focus on, making sales. Another one that kind of goes hand in hand with that is to gain leads, right? This is like gaining potential customers, having people opt into your email list, or just like gaining potential customers, but not necessarily making the sale. That definitely goes hand in hand with promoting yourself and making sales on Instagram as a result and goal that you're going for. Again, you don't necessarily want to just like be showing up and only promoting, join my email list, like people won't find that interesting. So again, just one slice of the pie. So those are the ones that people talk about, and they're kind of the more obvious ones: visibility, growth, making sales, gaining leads. But there are so many more less obvious goals and results and return on investments that we also need to be aware of, understand, and focus on during certain times for our strategy. And these could be things like relatability, boosting your brand's relatability. So this means making people like your brand, making people feel like they can relate to your brand. Like, oh my gosh, she gets it. They get it. This brand gets it. Relatability is super, super powerful, especially for making your brand more unique online. There are so many brands out there doing all the things. Like, you do have quite a bit of competition online. And relatability, building that relatability, brand affinity, all that stuff can really help people feel comfortable with your brand and like your brand and want to choose your brand, right? So that is something that you can do with your social media posts. And that is valuable for your business because it establishes that relatability that's going to make people want to choose you and want to recommend you to all their friends as well, right? But it's a little harder to track sometimes. And what I want to say too is like sometimes some of these results and goals that we have, the purpose of our different posts, sometimes for specific purposes, you're going to be definitely promoting that specific purpose, but you're going to be sacrificing some of the other purposes and goals and results, right? So, for example, whenever you promote anything on Instagram, you're probably not going to get as great of visibility or engagement or anything like that, just because of the nature of the platform. Number one, if you have a promotional post that asks people to leave the platform to go buy something or leave the platform to go listen to a podcast episode or something like that, then they're less likely to double tap that post because they're probably going along and going to click the link in your bio to listen to the podcast episode, right? Or they're just not quite as engaging, right? Posts like that. I see this every week for my podcast previews that I post on Instagram every week for the weekly episodes. They never perform as well as far as the insights. Like I don't get as much engagement as far as likes or comments. I don't get like as many views because Instagram algorithms like, what's this? It's not some trendy dance or anything like that. And so I expect that, right? I am sacrificing the engagement that I could get, the views I could get, the likes I could get, because I am promoting my podcast episode. But I understand that and I make that choice because it is very valuable to me to promote my podcast episode, because maybe 2 people might go listen to my podcast episode that day who see that post and think, oh yeah, that sounds like an interesting thing. And to me, 2 people listening to the podcast is worth the same amount as, I don't know, however many more views I would have gotten or whatever that is, right? So that's just something I wanted to point out too. Like, not sometimes when you focus on a specific goal for your post, you might be sacrificing other returns on investment, but that's okay, right? So anyway, that might be just a little bit of a tangent, but sorry, friend. Okay, so less obvious returns on investment, relatability, building trust with your ideal customers. That's something that's really hard to measure, right? Like a lot of these returns on investment that I'm about to list off are harder to measure for us. And, you may see different types of like numbers happening as far as your insights and all that stuff, but there's always things happening behind the scenes that build off each other and really build up to make your strategy worth it for you, right? So if you can build the trust with your ideal customers, that's going to get them to choose your brand over all the other brands. That's going to get them to recommend you to their friends instead of recommending another brand to their friends, right? That's going to make them feel more comfortable in choosing to buy from you in the future versus other brands. But it's not something you can really measure. And that's like something that you need to consider when it comes to the ROI that you see from the time and energy and money that you're putting into Instagram. Is this is helping me to make my brand feel relatable. This is helping me to build trust with my ideal customers so that they want to buy from me and recommend me to all their friends, right? You might not be able to measure it, but it's still worthwhile and something to consider. Okay, so another thing that you could do, make a return on your investment on, is establishing authority and expertise. Okay, so this is when you are sharing facts about your industry or facts about your process, just sharing behind the scenes of your process, right? Showing people that you know what the heck you're talking about when it comes to doing what you do, right? And making them feel like they can trust you more, making them feel more confident in their decision to buy from you and choose you over all the other brands. Establishing authority and expertise are definitely worthwhile for your Instagram posts. But does that look like doing a dance in your Instagram reels? Like, not all the time. And so will it perform well? Like, as far as numbers, maybe so, maybe not. Like, who knows? But posts like that are still worthwhile because they're really establishing that trust and expertise and authority for your brand, for you, right? Another thing that just posting on Instagram can do is to establish brand validity and help people know that your brand is actually like alive still, right? I don't know if you've ever run across a website and like a brand that you're like, oh, this brand looks super cool. But then you go to their Instagram and they haven't posted in like 3 years. And you're like, wait, is this brand still like alive, or is it just something someone created but then just kind of like let slide and like they're not really doing it anymore, right? Like, no shade to that, because I don't know, there's definitely like times when I've just wanted, I'm sure I created like a bunch of websites when I was in high school, and I'm like, I'm sure someone is going to land on one of those one day and be like, what? But when you are posting regularly on Instagram consistently, like, it can act as a portfolio for your brand. It can also just like show people that your brand is still active and still doing things and make your brand valid. So that is valuable for your brand. That's a return on your investment that you're putting into Instagram, is just making your brand active and consistent and allowing people to see the work that you're doing, allowing people to get to know your brand, right? Okay, educating your customers on different industry terms or different things is a great way to use Instagram as well. And that can be super, super helpful and valuable for your brand if it allows your customers to have more knowledge before you start working with them, so that you're not spending a lot of time and energy while you're working with them explaining a bunch of things to them, right? It can also be helpful for changing people's minds, right? If you've ever worked with customers who have a specific opinion that's not really right, but they don't know it's not right, and you have to explain it to them, or if you want to work with a specific type of person who believes a certain thing, Instagram can be really, really helpful for that. Also, just inspiring and motivating people to take action, or inspiring them to dream bigger, right? Instagram can be really helpful for that. And it's valuable for you to offer that via your Instagram to your ideal customers, because it will help them trust your brand more, relate to your brand more. It will help them feel more empowered to make change. It will help them feel like inspired to dream bigger, like, oh, I can hire this person to help me with this thing. I didn't even realize that I could do that, but now I feel inspired to do that, right? Like, all of these things can work together to not only change your ideal customers' lives and help them, but also this is super, super valuable for your brand on the other side of the coin, right? In so many different ways. So really, the whole purpose of this episode is that I want you to think outside the box, think about both sides of the coin, think about, how is this helpful for my ideal customers? How is this helpful for my brand, right? A few other things: affirming people's purchasing decisions and showcasing social proof, right? This can often be done through customer testimonials, sharing those. Once again, customer testimonials are posts that a lot of people do not see great, quote unquote, results from, as far as like performance with the insights, as far as likes and comments and shares and all that stuff. Like, people don't really care in general as they're scrolling through entertaining Instagram about customer testimonials, right? Most people in general are not going to pause on the post to read a customer testimonial from you. Like, it's kind of boring. Like, no shade to to my lovely customer testimonials that I've gathered, or yours, right? But in general, when people are on Instagram for entertainment, they're not going to be pausing on that customer testimonial to read it, because it's not as interesting as all the rest of the stuff, right? However, the people who have been pondering on, should I buy from this person, who have been waffling like, oh, I really want to buy this thing from this person, but like, I don't know if I'm ready, or like, I don't know if they're quite right for me, or like, I don't know about it. Those people eat up customer testimonials because they know that those customers were in the exact same situation that they are currently in, wondering, can this person help me? Should I buy this thing from this person? Ooh, am I ready? Like, do I need this? Those types of people who are waffling on their purchasing decision from you love customer testimonials because they read them and they're like, yes, okay, this person saw results, right? Oh, yes, okay, this person was going through the exact same thing I was going through, and they helped them, so they can help me, right? Like, so there's a reason to post customer testimonials as social proof because they can help those specific people who are primed and want to buy from you, and they can help them feel more affirmed and confident in their purchasing decision, right? While it won't perform very well on with the algorithm in general, while honestly, a lot of people will scroll right by it. Like, people are just scrolling Instagram for entertainment, like, kind of boring. Let's be honest here. But those people don't matter. Like, for this post, the purpose is to affirm people's purchasing decisions who are thinking about buying from you, and customer testimonials will do that, right? So it's so worth it to post customer testimonials. Okay, and the final ROI that I have just listed on my list over here is establishing and nurturing your community. Okay, this is one that I just really want to drive home because it hits home for me so much, especially when I compare it to the growth that everyone talks about. I just get so riled up about this, right? Because so many marketers online talk about growth, new followers, gaining followers, 100 new followers in a month, blah, blah, blah. And I'm over here like, I think it is so much more valuable to focus on nurturing the followers that you have and cultivating community within the people who are already getting to know you and following you and all that stuff versus always trying to get new followers, right? And so social media can be super great for establishing inside jokes with your followers, for helping them get to know you, for getting to know them better, right? For nurturing them within your brand, asking their opinions, all that different stuff. That is so, so valuable because that is building and nurturing the trust, the relatability, all of those things that will lead to them buying from you and or recommending you to their friends, right? And buying from you again and again and again, right? It doesn't just have to be one time. So social media is so, so valuable for nurturing your ideal customers, the people who could potentially buy from you and the people who have already bought from you. So I just had to put that out there. So those are just like, man, I knew I was going to spend so much time talking in this episode. But anyway, that is what we're talking about when it comes to ROI and specifically our Instagram ROI, right? What investments are you willing to make for when it comes to money, time, and energy? And how does that balance with the return that you see, whether that's visibility, growth, making sales, building your know, like, and trust factor, establishing your authority and expertise, just being valid and active as a brand, changing people's minds, inspiring, motivating, affirming purchases, nurturing your community, yada, 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 right? So man, it took a while just to explain what the heck I'm talking about when it comes to Instagram ROI, but I hope that you found this part helpful, just like explaining what it actually means, because it doesn't just have to look like visibility and growth, my friend. And you are also totally allowed to, and I encourage you to consider the time and energy that you spend. And specifically, I really want you to get micro with the ROI that you're seeing on Instagram. Zoom in. It doesn't have to be Instagram in general. Zoom in to be like, okay, if I create a reel of me dancing, or if I create a reel where it's basically just like a fake Twitter post, like how much time, energy, money am I spending on that reel versus which type of post is performing better for me, specifically for my brand. So that is what we're about to get into, is the nitty-gritty details of, okay, now that we understand what does the investment that I'm making look like, what does the return that I'm seeing look like when it comes to Instagram in general, what type of posts make sense for me? So let's talk about it. The type of posts on Instagram, they definitely like perform in different ways, right? So and they're different for everyone, right? Depending on your audience, depending on your brand, depending on you and how you work as a human and where your creativity lies, what energizes you, what drains you, all that different stuff. So when it comes to these different types of things I'm talking about, I really want you to be asking yourself, like, what makes sense for me? Like, what does my audience respond to? What do they like? What do I like to create? Right? What makes sense? What types of posts make sense for my brand specifically? All that different stuff, right? But in general, let's talk about reels first. Reels are like the hot thing on Instagram. You know, people love TikTok, people love reels. Instagram's trying to boost reels because it's trying to compete with TikTok, yada, yada, yada. Okay, great. You know, and reels are performing the best as far as reach and visibility. And you definitely can, quote unquote, go viral with a reel. You can see more views with reels than you do and reach with reels than you do with any other post. People will follow you depending on what your reel is and all the different stuff. Like, you can gain followers from reels as well. So they are great for visibility for sure. Instagram will boost reels out to the platform more often than any other type of post. And especially to strangers, right? Especially reels are good for trying to boost visibility to accounts that don't follow you as much, right? And they can also be okay for growing your following. But I want to warn you that, you know, sometimes when you are following the trends and creating reels, they don't necessarily, if they don't reflect your goals, then they may perform for you as far as views and reach and even followers maybe, but it might not be the right type of results. It might not be valuable results, right? It might not be the right type of followers. So you might get people following you who aren't ever going to buy from you if you don't make sure that the reels that you're creating reflect your business and the goals and the results that you want to see. Right. So when it comes to reels, I definitely recommend creating reels. You know, I think that you can find reels and create reels that are easier to create, right? They can be kind of fun to create and all that different stuff. But I definitely want to recommend that you are strategic with the reels that you're creating. Realize that sometimes the trendy reels that people recommend that you create aren't necessarily going to work the best for the results you want to see for your business and all that different stuff, right? But reels are awesome. And I would definitely recommend, if you're going to create a video of some sort for Instagram, go ahead and make it in reels format, because they do just like get more reach in general, right? So might as well, if you're going to spend the time to do that, might as well make it in reels format. So then there's carousels. Carousels are great for like capturing people's attention and having people pause on your post for longer, right? So if that first slide on a carousel is super eye-catching and makes people want to swipe through your carousel to your different slides, that's awesome. Then people will pause on your post for longer. Often you can get a lot of information across in carousels, right? People can like swipe through all that different stuff. Also, people tend to engage more with carousels, I've noticed, than reels, you know? So you tend to get like a few more comments on carousels. This is different for different accounts for sure, and it might be changing, but I've noticed just that like with the format of carousels, people pausing on it for longer, it feels a little bit more intimate even. People are more likely to comment on carousels and engage with carousels than they are with reels. So, you know, things to think about. But carousels can sometimes take you longer to create, right? I mean, you know, myself having played around with both carousels and reels for the past few months. I think it's easier to create a reel than it is to create a carousel for me at this point. So I have been focusing mostly on reels myself just because they're easier for me to create. They require less time, less energy, and they do get boosted in general to more accounts on the platform. So I've personally been focusing on reels more than carousels. So just what does that look like for you, you know? Okay, the next type of post that you could create is stories. And this is my heavy hitter, I think, for Feel Good Social. Because Instagram stories are they're way more casual, right? So they're super awesome for just kind of really establishing that nurturing relatability, trust building with your ideal customers, showing behind the scenes, telling stories, allowing people to get to know you and your brand. They're less pressure, right? They only appear for 24 hours. People consume them in a less pressurized way, right? People also love to engage with Instagram stories because it's not public, right? So people can watch your Instagram stories and they can reply to your story in a super easy way with like just an emoji reaction, which is super fun. Or they can reply to your story and it becomes a DM, but then that's a private reply and it's not out for the world to see. And sometimes people are shy. And so it's easier for them to reply to your Instagram stories, right? And I personally love this. Number one, I love posting on Instagram stories like random things that are happening throughout my day. I love posting like tips on Instagram stories and stuff like that. I love the interactive features of Instagram stories, polls, and all those different things that people can vote on. You can get opinions. And I love having people respond to my stories because I work better in that one-on-one arena, I guess. I work better when I'm just chatting with someone one-on-one and establishing a relationship with them versus feeling like I'm putting a post out there and standing on the stage of Instagram and hoping that someone comes up on the stage with me and comments, right? And so honestly, I mean, strategically, when it comes to Instagram stories, I think that that is my best sales tactic, if we're honest. And it's coming from a genuine place. But like when people respond to my stories, it's just super casual. And I don't usually be pushy with anyone, you know, I'll just respond back to them in a friendly way. We can get the conversations started. All of a sudden I feel like we're friends. And then people become interested in the Feel Good Social Club or whatever I'm selling, you know, and they'll usually just reach out to me because they feel more comfortable because we've established this kind of Instagram story relationship, right? And I've honestly seen quite a few people sign up for the Feel Good Social Club after starting Instagram story direct message conversations with me, you know, and it feels very natural and not pushy and awesome that way for me for Feel Good Social. So what I want to say is if you are a brand who works like kind of one-on-one, if you want to, focus on people who are kind of local. You don't need to go viral and sell to the whole world. You just want to sell to people within your community. If your goal is focused on nurturing your community versus visibility and getting strangers to look at your account, Instagram stories is where it's at. And that would be my main focus, right? And for me personally, it doesn't take a lot of energy or time or anything like that. So that's great, right? And it goes hand in hand with direct messages, which are great for nurturing, having conversations, and also selling. Like I encourage my Feel Good Social Clubbers all the time. I know it's scary, but if you want to boost sales, if you're looking to launch something, if you're hosting a sale, if you are really wanting to boost sales of a specific product or like get another client, fill out your roster, anything like that, sending people direct messages is so valuable. And you can totally do it in like a non-sleazy way. I mean, like there's definitely other episodes where I talk about engagement and all that different stuff on Instagram, how to do it in a way that feels genuine and all those things. But if you can offer someone and sell to someone one-on-one versus just like posting a reel about your offer to Instagram and like hoping someone buys from, the right people see it and then the right people actually take action off that post and then buy it. Like that's kind of like not like worth your time as much, right? So if you're looking to sell something, direct messages is great. And like you'll get the best return on your investment, honestly, from direct messages for selling. I swear, I swear it. So that's another thing that I love about posting to Instagram stories is that it also goes hand in hand with direct messages, right? So those are the kind of types of posts you can think about. And what are my goals? What types of posts should I be focusing on right now? And what makes sense for me, as far as showing up online? So for Feel Good Social, I'll just share with you my current strategy as far as Feel Good Social goes. I'm focusing mostly on reels just because they are kind of the easiest for me to create at this point, and they are performing fairly well. And I think that my audience, my current followers, do enjoy my reels, along with the potential for strangers to see my reels more so, so I'll post maybe like 1 to 5 reels a week. It's been leaning more toward the 1 or 2 lately, if we're honest. So I'll post regularly reels to Instagram, but then I do focus more so on showing up on stories every day. And I make it a mixture of behind the scenes. I make it a mixture of tips as I'm doing work. I do it a mixture of lifestyle posts of my dogs or me going on a run or whatever that is, right? Because that allows me to get to know my ideal customers more. It allows me to tease different projects that I'm working on. It allows me to tease different like things that are coming up for Feel Good Social that they should know about and get curious about and all that different stuff. Stories allow you to do a lot of that stuff. And then also especially allows me to nurture relationships with people who want to get to know me better, who I can help, right? So that's my current strategy for Feel Good Social. It may change, through the seasons as I work out what my goals are moving forward. But the big thing that I want you to take away from this episode is understanding that you are investing a certain amount of time, energy, and money into Instagram, and you really need to be aware of what your goals are, what the results you're looking for are, and adjust your expectations when it comes to that sort of stuff. And I just really want you to feel empowered to understand this and just realize that whatever you're posting on Instagram has a purpose. You have chosen to post that because you understand your goals, you understand the results that you're looking for, and you feel good about showing up on Instagram, and you realize that you don't need to just be a content creator sheep and try to be an Instagram influencer or anything like that, right? Okay. I know I've just been like ranty. So I hope that this episode resonated with you, my friend. It was my first one back in a while, so hopefully I'll get better at chatting into the mic again. But I so appreciate you. If you've stuck around this long, thank you so much. Let's connect on Instagram. If we haven't already, I'm Feel Good Social, at Feel Good Social. Give me a follow. I will definitely follow you back. Send me a DM if I haven't followed you back, or if you just want to introduce yourself. I would love to get to know you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.